Good morning, everyone. This is Paul Meyer at GAI Insights. Today is December 21st, not December 20th. I made a mistake and did not have the correct name on the live feed. So if you're looking this on a recording or live feed, this version is the December 21st version. I'm from GAI Insights, and welcome to our daily GenAI executive briefing. Discuss and rate news items. Our team of analysts rate each item or each article as essential, important, or optional for the time-starved executive and leaders at companies. Today's briefing is sponsored by GAI Insights, and discussion will be led by Luda.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening. So, Ankash, please kick us off with the first news item.
Sure, Luda. Just let me share my screen. Okay. Yep. Can everyone see my screen?
Not yet. But since the audience can actually click on them, so maybe you could read the title and then we can start.
Sure, Luda. So the first news item for today is from Anthropic. So Anthropic is looking to raise $750 million in a funding round led by Menlo Ventures.
Okay. So could we get David? David, maybe you can start us off with your opinion on this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, my rating would be optional, but I do think it's interesting that they are looking to raise more money after they've raised billions recently. So makes me wonder what they're up to that's requiring more funding.
Yeah, I wonder if the funding from Google and Amazon is, server time, not cash.
Yeah,
cash.
Right, and it was also laid out over time. It wasn't immediate, and as Sam Altman said, I think many months ago, the costs of developing and hosting these large language models are eye-watering.
Yeah, definitely. So I assume that I know with what was it, 4 billion from one, 3 billion from other, that some of it was filtering in. I
think
you're
a lot
right,
of it. Yeah,
a lot of it is credits.
Probably in kind, as was
Yeah.
Microsoft's deal with OpenAI, server time and compute time. And also, again, most of the time these deals are over several years. So yes, Amazon commits $4 billion, but it isn't like the next day you get a check.
No, of course, yeah, that would be nice.
I do want to note that VC funding in general is down 40%. IPO window's been closed. So Menlo Park is a momentum investor, so they're at least seeing enough in their sales funnel to even have a meeting with them. So at least indication that somehow they're getting some traction.
Yeah, that's wonderful that they have a lead, right? Because exactly, Paul, the environment for raising a lot of money is not very good. So we'll have to see. It's optional, but I think for the whole industry, it will be important whether they can raise it and quickly.
Yep, we've talked about this before, that there's likely to be some sort of a crash, not because there isn't a lot of value to be created, but just because there was so much investment so early. And this typically happens. All of a sudden, it's not so easy to get investment. I think OpenAI and Anthropic can get pretty much as much money as they want, because they're the leaders in the field, and they've got major commitments from the cloud service providers. But for the second and third tier and the application startups, it may get pretty tough.
Yeah, so optional, guys, or should we put importance as something to watch, or should we put optional?
I'd vote optional myself.
Optional.
Optional.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's just
Optional.
No, we're 4 minutes in already. So
okay, great. Ankash, next item.
Yeah. So the next one is from Oxman. So they have launched an alpha test for Oxford's AI-generated games. So you can generate characters in the games through various mediums.
John, do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I would say this is essential for any marketing person. and important for everyone else. The ability to take synthetic worlds and to have them dynamically change based on trends in the marketplace is just amazing.
Yep, I would say at least important because for a couple of reasons. One is this is the first one that I've seen that doesn't start with type in some text. It gives you a palette to start with if you can't generate your own ideas. Plus, it's got what John said. Plus, I think over the last decade, gaming has been the place where there's been a lot of innovation and firsts. If you really think about it, NVIDIA is a gaming product. That's where it started. Gaming drives a lot of new technology.
Yeah, I think the term augmented reality is wrong. I think it should be called mesh reality. Because this is going to mesh with. I mean, this thing is aware of the outside environment, and just think about what this means for anything from marketing, trading operations, eventually, training, that kind of stuff, sales processes. It's just going to be. And as Tim said, it's the gaming folks are leading the way on this, but this is going to get commercialized and it's going to start in entertainment, I believe.
Okay, so are we okay with essential for marketing efforts and important for everything else? Okay, it is. Okay, next one, Ankash.
Okay, and related to this is the Midjourney V6 is finally here, so you can do a lot of new things, and Midjourney is also sort of making it easier for people to interact with Midjourney software and maybe create images through prompting as well.
Okay, Paul, do you have an
Yeah,
opinion?
I'll say optional. I did want to let me share my screen just so I can show people who have not seen Midjourney before.
Paul, while you're bringing that up, I'll jump in and say that I would say this is important, but not for the reason people might think. I think it's a fairly ordinary step change up from previous versions. And mostly they're just trying to keep up with other people. I don't think they're really innovating or staying ahead. They're continuing to get caught. So in some ways, I feel like for a launch of a new version, this is in some ways losing some market share to their competition. And that's what's important about this news, more so than that it's version 6 itself.
Adam, can you see my screen?
No.
Yeah, it's the infinity screen.
Oh, goodness. Well, that's not helpful.
Yeah, I agree with Adam. I think Midjourney is losing share right now because the others are catching up and have much friendlier interfaces.
But how important is this? Is it still for our audience optional?
I'd probably say optional.
That's what I would
Adding
vote.
new features. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a great vendor having new features. And new features, yeah, and they are losing market share, but maybe they will catch up. Who
Can you
knows?
see my screen, Luda?
Yes.
Yeah, so for people who haven't ever used or seen Midjourney, this is the Midjourney interface. It uses interface called Discord, which is like Slack, but it's very confusing if you've never used it before. You put in pretty simple prompts, and here I put a misspelled realistic picture of a woman swimming doing backstrokes, and this is in the current version, which is not bad. And then if you add the dash V6, you get this in slightly better light contrast.
Yeah.
More accurate too. I mean, she looks a little bit more like she could be doing a backstroke.
Guys, we need to move on. So optional or important? David, you haven't spoken. Tanya?
I think optional because I think it's adding more realistic capabilities. But like Adam is saying, it's not adding innovation right now.
David?
Well, I'm a big Midjourney lover, so it's important to me, but I'll say it's optional for everybody else.
Okay, optional it is. Anybody objects? All right, optional it is. Okay, next one, Ankash.
Yeah. So the next one is from Simulation by Fable. So they are offering AI agents to power the westwards of future.
Ankash, would you like to share back the screen?
Yeah. And Adam, may I ask you to venture the initial opinion?
Yeah, I was thinking this would be optional, but just in light of the previous comments on the marketing efforts and why this stuff is important, I could see bundling that into that. But generally, it felt it's another company that's launching, that's looking to do some things that people are doing. Seemed like optional news to me.
Okay.
To me, this seemed either important or, definitely important, because it's not just a marketing aspect, but I mean, the idea of going back into a historical context and playing different characters, right? And seeing what the outcome would have happened. So, say Martin Luther King hadn't been shot when he did, what would have happened if he had existed a few years later? And things of that nature, how you can play around. I think there's a educational component here. I think there's like even, legal court cases, right? That we can now evaluate in the context of, hey, what if it had been a different judge or a different jury in the context of that event. I think there's a lot that can happen here in addition to the marketing side. So applies to more industries, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's broad. It's early. It's just an open source release of a platform, but it is interesting. It's very interesting, especially for more technical folks. This is, and maybe John, you'd be interested, because this is really, they're banking on autonomous agents. So you're influencing real agents rather than scripting characters. And they've only got like 20 agent capability right now, but their aim is to have millions and create literally, if you remember the old game, The Sims, but with real agents in a really much more immersive world.
And I guess I just say this.
Remember what they've decided or what they've done before. That's
right.
What is amazing.
Agents remember. Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
John, you again.
Yeah, I just think that I do think it's incredibly interesting, and I find it interesting. I just think for the time-starved AI leader, this hasn't bubbled up yet. This is
I would say it's very early.
now.
Optional unless you really are interested and have time.
Okay, great. Optional it is. Next item, Ankaj.
Okay. There's a new music app called Suno, which has been launched, and they are saying that they help you create original music and not duplicate existing music.
Tim, may I ask you to venture the initial opinion, please?
Sure. I could go with either optional or important. The important argument is this thing is amazing. And Microsoft just integrated into Copilot. And you can create a 2-minute song in 30 seconds. And it creates the whole song. It's just remarkable. I'm a musician too. So, it's remarkable to me what they've accomplished. And they don't do anything based on copyrighted material or anything. In fact, they refuse. If you say, make me a song in the style of Van Halen, they won't do it. But it will create an original song in lots of different ways if you give it genres and styles, and very quickly. It's remarkably capable. On the other hand, there are lots of music making tools not as competent as this. So this is one more. The fact that it's in Microsoft Copilot makes it more interesting, but I don't know if I would give it an important or not.
Other opinions?
What I found interesting from the article were two things. One, the pricing model. So we've talked about this in the past, like how are they going to price these type of things? Is it just a monthly subscription? But they're saying pricing by prompt, and they put songs right in parentheses. But if we were to move to a pricing model by prompt, I mean, all of these LLMs would become incredibly expensive, right? Because it takes a lot of prompts to get what you want to do. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And the second part is I love the idea that they are making sure that you don't take credit of someone else, right? So they don't allow you to say make a song as, Taylor Swift.
Right.
Yeah,
I
would say this is important.
Is like this. If you use the OpenAI API, it's token based, which effectively is charging by the prompt.
Okay, John.
I would say it's important because the fact that your Office suite, which has been as boring as Melba Toast for the past 20 years, is now going to have all these new functions, whether it's writing functions, creative, visual functions, sound functions, and there's so many people who use the Office suite or competitors. I just think I would say it's important because it's going to get embedded throughout the company. And I agree, the pricing model is interesting and on demand and all of those stuff, but big companies will negotiate that stuff with Microsoft.
Yeah. So I would also go on important to highlight to our audience. It's almost like a case study of how you can use the creativity of these models not to be jeopardized. So this is the LLMs at their best, right? So I think that needs to be highlighted and probably worth an important mark. Important? Anybody object?
I would have gone for optional, even though I am a musician as well and find it interesting. But I don't know, it's one more functionality. I also find it odd that it's going into a business software.
It isn't. So I was going to go optional. This actually isn't. What's news is that Microsoft has it available on the website, copilot.microsoft.com. It's not integrated into M365 Copilot.
Oh, I thought it was
Microsoft has 50 something Copilots. At least what I saw, it said, go to this URL, and it was basically the equivalent of like Bing Chat, except the Copilot for Bing Chat. The other thing is that I was using this app 3 weeks ago. It's not that Suno has just existed. It's that Microsoft just did a big marketing push around integrating it. So this isn't new functionality. It isn't new capability. It's a little more accessible. Facebook and Google already, as it says, have something like it. And I don't know to what extent it's really a toy. It makes 30 seconds, right? It basically does a verse and a chorus.
Okay.
So
all right. I hear optional, guys. Can everybody live with optional?
Yep.
Okay. Optional it is. All right. The last item, Pankaj.
Okay, the last one is similar to TomTom one that we discussed yesterday. So Cerence and NVIDIA, they have launched an automotive large language model.
Okay. Tanya, do you want to venture an opinion?
Yeah, first of all, I love the acronym, right? CALM, and it has LLM in there, so that's pretty brilliant. I think again, this whole idea of LLMs being vertically specialized, right? These companies already had these very important data sets, and they're figuring out how to make more money off of them, and now partnering with other big companies. So to me, this is important. I think we're gonna, I love the idea of being able to walk into my car and talk to it and have it do a lot of more things than it can do today. So I think the market is there, the interest is there. I would be curious to see how, this can be leveraged overall in transportation, right? With school buses, right? Can we do more there? In controlling the kids or seeing what kids are not behaving on that bus, I don't know. Like I think there's more use for it besides just the, my car. But I would rate it at least important.
Thank you, Tanya. Any other opinions?
It's I'm sort of more on the optional front. I have to tell you, this is because we said TomTom was optional. It's mostly a marketing announcement. Now this is more serious at one level because this is the Nuance spinoff, and they've been doing the car stuff for a long time, so they have more credence in getting this stuff in there. But I think we said about TomTom, it'd be crazy if these people weren't doing this. That would be the news, is if they weren't doing this. Yeah. So.
And for our audience, I think this is not as important. It might be important as a vertical transportation stuff. Any other? Paul, John?
Optional.
Optional it is. Okay, great. Tanya, can you live with optional?
I can. I come from the automotive industry, so to me, this would be.
That now explains
I worked in automotive for several years. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we've taken a long time today. Sorry for that, but I think it was a great discussion. Thank you, guys. This was wonderful.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. And again, apologize. This is for December 21st, not December 20th. And we do appreciate some of the feedback we've been getting in other channels. So please keep sending that. Pigeon, email, snail mail. We really appreciate it. Thank you.